All right.
All right, everyone. Hello. Welcome to this seminar, I guess you could call it, conversation, Swimming While Being Black at PWI versus HBCU. My name is Miguel Davis Jr. I am a junior, also political science major from Howard University. Obviously, I'm on the swim team as well. Before we start, I just want to say that this is a conversation. It's not really versus anyone. It's not about a bashing of HBCU versus PWI. It's really just a sharing of experiences from me, Courtney, my teammate, and Kiara and Spencer, and the differences that we see in our experiences in this predominantly white sport of swimming. So first, I think it's Courtney.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. My name is Courtney Connolly. I am a sophomore supply chain management major at Howard University. I was born and raised in Ware Lake, Michigan. I started swimming when I was 3 years old and started doing club swimming when I was 6. I graduated from Mercy High School in Farmington Hills, and I was also a part of 2 state championships my junior and senior year. And my events are the 2IM, 100 fly, and 100 free. So next.
Hello, so my name is Spencer Clarke. I go to Fordham University, where I'm studying information systems with a concentration of financial technology. I was introduced to swimming at the age of 8 by my kindergarten teacher when she started a school swim team. I later on joined the USA club level at 10 years old, where I started off at the City of Los Angeles Swim Club. Later on, I went on to Vision Swim Team, Los Angeles Swim Club, and Aptos Cabrillo Swim Club to further my swimming career. I swim the 200 IM, 100, 200, 500 free, and 100 and 200 back. And a very landmark and impactful event that really highlighted the discrimination and the prejudices that occur on my race was with Trayvon Martin and his early death. And that has been something that's always stuck with me and kind of motivated me to, have discussions like this and really bring to light, some issues that are prevalent within the Black community. So next.
Okay, hello. My name's Kiara Norris, and I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I am a junior at Fordham University, and I'm a political science major on the pre-law track, minoring in business administration and Mandarin Chinese. And I was actually introduced to swimming super early on because my dad tried to learn how to swim in his adulthood and realized how difficult it was kind of the older you are. So my brother and I both learned very early. And then I started swimming competitively when I was 6. And I did the entirety of my club swimming career at the Memphis Tigers swimming team. And I put in here the National Black Heritage Meet and the movie Pride because those were just, the movie Pride it's this movie set in like the 70s in Philly. And it's essentially about a swim team of Black swimmers who like actually did face overt racial discrimination. So that, along with like the Black Heritage Meet, really like, I guess showed me that being a Black swimmer was something like different and like something to be proud of. And yeah, so actually one more thing about my club team is that like when I first got to it, I'd say you could probably like count the number of Black swimmers on like one hand. But by the time I left, I'm not like attributing this to me. It was like a community effort of like starting free swim lessons initiatives and that sort of thing. But my graduating class, there were 6 of us and 4 of us were Black and 2 were Asian. So that was just such a contrast from like when I first joined. And my events are pure sprint. So yeah.
Hello again, my name is Miguel Davis Jr. Like I said, I'm a junior political science major, painting minor from the DC, Maryland area. I grew up around here, so I decided to go to school here too. I began swimming when I was around 8 years old. I really only did summer league up until 2013. I was around 12 or 13, still in middle school. I think this was like 8th grade. My first team right off of summer league was YMC Alexandria. I was only there for about a year. I got sick, so I don't really count that year. So I really started in high school year-round club swimming with DC Wave, the only swim team in DC really. Started there freshman year high school. That's when I really started to see like growth in my swimming abilities and stuff. I was good in summer league as 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, young, but when I started high school, it was something I started to really grow into and love. I went to St. John's College High School. That's where, I don't know, I would say out of all the teams I've been on, that was the only team where it wasn't predominantly Black. YMCA Alexandria, it was pretty Black, pretty diverse. DC Wave, it was, I'm not gonna say well, it might have been predominantly Black. So for me, swimming, like being on the swim team, I never really felt I'm the only Black kid on the swim team. I was pretty much comfortable through my whole transition through, 12 years of swimming. As you can see, my events, primarily breaststroke. I put 200 breaststroke. I really just started swimming that last year, so we might not count that. So really 100 breast, 50, 100 free. And most of this conversation today is questions that people have already asked us, and we're just going to expand on them. And feel free to ask more questions in the chat if we don't get to it.
Right.
But yeah, what's the first question?
So yeah, basically, like, I think we're going to talk about just kind of our experiences in swimming, and maybe you guys can relate to it. Maybe you want to say something in the chat, like if you related. And then mostly we're going to be answering questions that we put on Instagram, that we got from Instagram, I mean, or questions from the chat. So I don't know if we want to start by talking about our experience first or start with a question.
We can start with one question that leads into experiences. So have you ever experienced racial discrimination at a meet?
Not at a meet. Oh, actually, JK, I did experience this at a meet. I think I talked about this Maritza in the Howard video. When I was 10 or so, I went to the zone championship in Wisconsin, and I just won the 200 IM long course, and I broke the zone record. And when I went to go do the award ceremony, the girl who got second, the announcer announced her as the zone record holder. And then he announced me, who won, just announced like Courtney Connolly first place. And that was it. So he didn't acknowledge my accomplishment, which I didn't know at the time because I was just so young. I didn't know what it meant, what it was. But when I think about it, it's kind of hard. It's like hard for me to think about it because it's like, why would he want to diminish me like that when I was just a kid, I didn't know, like, I think it's a big part of swimming right now, like, people just trying to not hurt you, but like just out to get you sometimes, it's hard to say, but yeah. Anyone else?
I can go next. Thankfully I haven't like experienced any like overt racism, I guess, at a swim meet. Like I remember an instance my mom actually just told me about last summer that happened. And it was like a parent of one of my close friends in the stand asked like, what are you feeding her? Like when I would swim fast. And like, I don't know, when you look at like each of these instances, like in isolation, like it's easy to dismiss them and say like, it's not about race, but like, you know how it makes you feel to hear about them. And so I think it's just like, and like, thankfully for me, like I haven't experienced that per se, but that doesn't mean that like no one has. Like I'm sure that's not the story of a lot of other swimmers in this country since there are so few of us Black swimmers. But yeah,
I think another thing is like as a young Black swimmer, like maybe around the age of 12, 10, a lot of people question, I don't know if Kiara, you had this experience, but they question if you're on steroids or if you're lifting weights just because you might be bigger than the other kids. But it's like, no, it's just genetics.
Yeah, I was just a muscly kid.
Yeah, a muscly kid, sorry.
I remember Whitley posted something on Instagram that said like people question if he was from Africa. He was lying about his age and that sort of thing. And I feel like that just doesn't really happen to like our white peers. But
Mhm.
No, and to kind of segue off of that, I can, you know, touch base with Key on the fact that I've been fortunate enough to really never face any blaringly obvious racism towards me at a swim meet. But I can look back at experiences and then ask myself, would it have gone differently if I was white? Or, was that because, did he say that to me, or did he take that from me because I was black? For example, I was at a club championship meet that we have at the end of every summer. And I won the 100 freestyle, which I wasn't a favorite to win that event. And I ended up winning, which was really fun and really cool. And I slapped the water, celebrated, and it's something normal, swimmers do after a good race when they celebrate and splash the water. But for some reason, this official there decided to DQ me for it after I just got this win. And I had to, talk to my coach, go up to this official and apologize for my outlandish behavior of celebrating, which in my eyes, I was like, what? Like, this guy's just being hard on me. But then when you think back about it, like, did he do that because I'm black? Like, does he have a problem, with black people? And there's instances and experiences like that come across, but fortunately enough, I've never experienced, blatant, clear racism directed towards me.
Um, I just want to make a little comment about your stories. Like, I've definitely seen white people definitely celebrate after they won a race or anything, and I've never heard of anything like that. I've never seen them get DQ'd or have any sort of retribution from it. So
No, and there's a happy ending. Luckily, he reversed the DQ, so
Oh.
luckily. But it was a weird process to have to go up to this guy and explain myself and apologize for something that, didn't seem like was an apologable offense. So
yeah. So our next question. What are some of the biggest challenges when traveling for meets? Anyone want to go first?
I'm just gonna answer this as like a general swimmer, like in college. For us, we like take the bus and like it's fine. We usually at Fordham like do our meets locally, like for our dual meets, and they'll either be home or like at our competitors pool. And then A10s though, our conference is in Ohio, which is like a longer ride, but I don't really know how else to answer that question.
Maybe at Howard we have home meets and away meets, but it really depends on the year. But I know a lot of people have came back and told how fun they have at Howard meets because it's kind of like a party. And we talked about this before. At Howard we have a DJ. They come and play for us, and people just like to see how we are as a team are really close. We dance together on the to a song, just having a good time. I think it makes the other team feel like they're having a good time as well. So that's just how the atmosphere is at Howard.
Yeah, that seems so cool. Dude, I followed y'all's Instagram for like so long and I just love seeing like the roll call and stuff.
Oh yeah, and then we have our like I don't know what you call it, Miguel. What do you call like what we do with when we shout?
Team cheer?
Yeah, sorry, I could not think of it. But like we have cheers and like just special things that we say, like men's team has a cheer and the ladies team has a cheer that we do. So it's a really fun meet. Another question, why did you choose your school? So
I'll go because I didn't answer the last one. So I chose Howard. Why did I choose Howard? My recruitment process was pretty easy. Like I said, St. John's, I was like, I think I want to take it to the next level around junior high school. I didn't really know where to start. Luckily, Coach Nick, because I'm local, he was at a swim meet one day and he was in the stands. It was a big swim meet. I think it was Black History in February. And after my races and stuff, my Coach Green from DC Wave, was like, oh, the Howard coach is up there, you should talk to him, whatever, whatever. So it's okay, I'll meet him. I didn't really think much of it. I knew about Howard because a lot of swimmers from around the area went there too. But in my mind, I was like, I don't know if I really want to go somewhere that everyone else is going. And back then I didn't think of it as a HBCU PWI situation. It was just like, I want to meet new people and I want to leave DC. But after talking to him, he was a really nice guy. I liked his vision for where he wanted the swim team to go at the time. And like I said, I was pretty new to it. I didn't really know what to do. So I was just talking to anybody, really. Then senior year comes around. I took my first recruiting trip to a school. I won't say the name, but I wasn't feeling it. And I didn't know if it was the team, the school itself. I just wasn't feeling the entire atmosphere. I kind of, like, as soon as I got there, like maybe a couple hours, and this was a weekend trip, I was ready to go. But I stayed just to see. I was like, maybe, it might change later. It might get better. But it really didn't. It wasn't a bad experience. It wasn't like violent or anything. It was just like, I don't see myself being here for 4 years. And I remember my parents always saying, if you're not swimming, will you be comfortable? Like, will you still want to go to the school if you're not swimming? And for me, I was like, no, I don't want to go there if I'm not swimming. So then I had a recruiting trip at Howard, and I just saw the energy. It was very like a family oriented team. Like I said, Coach Nick was a really cool guy. I met with him. I knew some people. And at this time I was like, maybe it would be better if I knew some people on the team, like one or two, just so my matriculation could be a little easier. So I went on that recruiting trip. And I basically fell in love with it then. And then I had to get accepted. You still have to get accepted. So I was waiting on that. But when it came around to signing, I was ready to go. There really wasn't any hesitation. And it had the major I wanted. The program was great. The people are great. So.
Spencer or Kiara?
Yeah, no, I could go next with just it was a number of reasons why I chose Fordham. The shortest and best way I could put it is just all the stars aligned, everything I was looking for in a school kind of came up with Fordham. I had the swimming opportunity I wanted here. I had the educational opportunity I wanted here, and the opportunity also to just be somewhere new in New York City, coming from the West Coast. So kind of all of those factors played a huge decision in me deciding to come here. And yeah, simply put.
I'll go next. My recruiting process was very stressful, I think, because I was a shy high schooler. I did not like to talk to adults or people, I didn't like that whole thing. But when I went through the recruiting stage, I wasn't really looking at a lot of schools, honestly, and I didn't know what I wanted. I just kind of visited school, see if I liked it. But I only went on 2 recruiting trips. One was Howard and one was a school in North Carolina. And it was a PWI. And so I kind of got both experiences of an HBCU and a PWI with that recruiting trip. And I won't say I didn't like the school in North Carolina. I just didn't feel welcome there when I went. And then I went to Howard after, and the whole energy was so different. Everyone made me feel so welcome. I felt like I was already a part of the team. And it's just really like they wanted me to be there. I mean, that's like the typical thing for recruiting, but like, it's like they really wanted me to be there and be a part of the family. So that's one reason why I chose Howard. But I know a lot of people were so I know a lot of people back home were wondering why I chose Howard, because people thought I'd be going to Michigan State or Michigan or just some big Big Ten school or something. But that's not what I wanted. I didn't want that. I wanted to go out of state. I wanted to go to a school where I felt comfortable. And I know like a lot of people, I've had people come back to me and told me like this person doubted that I would go there, or like, just had doubts about me going to Howard. But I just hope that this discussion and like they see how going to Howard or HBCU is actually a very powerful thing. So, yeah.
Okay, I can also go. So when I was looking for a school, like swimming was definitely like the driving decision maker. I knew I wanted to swim in college to hopefully get like a scholarship, and for some reason I wrote off like the whole West Coast. I wanted to get out of the South, so pretty much left like the Northeast. And I was lucky to like be contacted by Coach Steve, and I got to come to New York City for the first time on my recruiting trip. And so yeah, New York City definitely like was a winner for me. I was so excited to be here. Yeah. Okay. So I got a question in the chat. So I'm going to ask that one. So can you speak to the prevalence and impact of having non-white coaches and the presence of non-white lifeguards? And I think we also have a question about why representation is important. So those are kind of like, we can answer both of those.
Wait,
Can you repeat that question?
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh,
Actually, I'm going to copy and paste it so everyone can see. Oh, that's a direct message. Okay. Can you guys see that?
Yes, I can see that question. Do you want me can I start with that then?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, no, so we can also maybe use this question to segue into the question discussing imposter syndrome. But being on the pool deck, and luckily I do want to preface this with my first club team I was ever a part of. My first club coach, he was a Black man. His name was Francois. So I had a really good foundation, and I feel like he gave me a lot of confidence after I was done with his program moving forward, and being around, more predominantly white programs and around coaches that are white and having all white lifeguards. So luckily I had that foundation and that confidence going into it. But definitely, I think the best way to put it, the impact that has is it's mental. And it's not there all the time. But over time, when you show up in an environment where you're a minority, and you don't get to see that representation in the place that you love, which is the pool deck and the pool, and somewhere that I kind of go to as my safe haven. And I go there and I'm the only one that looks the way I do or acts the way I act. And that can take, I feel like, just a daunting toll on you mentally. And there's definitely ways to deal with it, but I definitely know that personally, it just makes you ask questions, and makes you kind of segue into this maybe imposter syndrome that you could develop from it.
I'll go next. So like I said, I'm from DC, swam in DC. My club team, DCUA, was predominantly Black, I would say. And my coaches are Black and the lifeguards are Black too. Now, I didn't really think much of it until Spencer, or the question was just asked, really, but I think it's super important. It's just like the importance of having Black teachers in the classroom. If I am, let's say, a sophomore in high school and I haven't had a Black teacher yet, and I'm taking, hard courses or whatever, it's so important to just feel wanted and comfortable in situations where you're forced to grow. So like in my case, on my swim team, let's say we have a race day or something. I get on block and I beat people, whatever. This actually happened the other day. One of the lifeguards just looked at me and was like, "Good job." And I wasn't, one, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not really looking for anyone to give me a pat on the back. I'm not thinking I really did anything, but just having people in your support, in your corner, for support is just so important. And I'm not saying that non-Black people, coaches, lifeguards won't do that, but I haven't had the experience of not having that. So I can only imagine of going to practice every day and feeling like people are praying for your downfall, or not even paying you any attention. Swimming is one of those sports. I mean, a lot of sports is like that, but like your coach is important. Your coach needs to be looking at you to see your stroke rate, your technique, just little things. So if the color of your skin is stopping them from seeing you as an important person, you're like destined for failure almost. So it's super important for you, the swimmer or whatever, to be in an environment where people look like them. At least one coach needs to look like you. You need to have someone you can trust and go to if it's not your head coach. So that's my answer. And we can go into imposter syndrome. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything else about that.
Well, can I hit that representation a little bit? Okay, so I feel like representation is super important, but it's like the starting point. Like more than that, I think Black swimmers need to feel like seen on the pool deck, like you said, and comfortable to be themselves, not like they need to check something at the door or like tone anything down. And I think coaches do have a role in that for sure. Because swimming is kind of an individual sport and a group sport at the same time, like a team sport at the same time. So yeah, I kind of just agree with everything you just said. But we can do the imposter.
And not to keep going on this, but like representation is one thing, but looking like me is not enough.
Right.
Can you think like me? Can we be on the same wavelength? Looking like me only gets us to a certain point. Luckily, like I said, I've been in environments where people don't just look like me. A couple of them think like me as well. So I'm still comfortable. But if I'm on a team and no one looks like me except one other person, but that one other person is going a little left, I'm still lost. I'm still kind of by myself. So
yeah.
Yeah, but I don't want to say necessarily being on a predominantly white team is bad, because I grew up that way, and I made some of my longest and best friends from that experience, and they've never treated me any differently by the color, because of the color of my skin. And that's something that I'll probably cherish forever, because that's just true friendship,
Mm-hmm.
But there's also those people, that do judge you because of the color of your skin. But then you just don't pay them no mind, because, they're just not with it.
Right.
Exactly.
Today there's only one HBCU that's D1, and everywhere else is a PWI. So it's not really like a.
And that's the goal, to make more HBCUs have a swim team. I think that's what the goal is for.
And just to get more Black people in swimming. Swimming is like life or death. So it's just different than like any other sport.
And definitely. And
you can go. Sorry.
It's all good. No, and that point actually makes me want to just bring up a story that I think is really important about, getting Black people, and not even just Black people, but people that are underrepresented within this sport, giving them the opportunity to enter the sport, and then also have the same resources, coaching, and equity within the sport as everyone else. So I have a story back when I was on my first club team with Francois. It was a city-run program, so we were funded by the state of California, or the city of Los Angeles, and they were going to have budget cuts, and they wanted to cut the city of Los Angeles swim team. And this team was so different from every other team that we went to go compete against at USA Meets. We were far more diverse. It was full of kids that didn't really have the funding to swim at these private swim clubs and private institutions. And it was an opportunity for kids like me, kids like in multiple assets that are underrepresented within the sport, to actually get into the sport and get the resources and coaching they need for it. However, they wanted to take that away from us. And my father actually had to go to the city council, and I didn't realize it at such a young age, but now looking back at it, you'll see where I'm getting at here. Is my father had to go there and tell the city council why they started this program in the first place, who they're doing this for. If they take away this program and fill this pool space with a private, predominantly white swim team, these kids that you set this program up for to, increase representation within the sport, it's just going to completely backfire, and you're going to take away from this progression that you just made towards that. And so luckily we were able to save the program. But stories like this, where people come in and are trying to take away the opportunity given, to people like me, to Black swimmers, That just goes to show the contrast of why this representation of the sport is still where it's at and why there's still so much room for growth.
Yeah. I like this question in the chat. Our triathlon club is working on becoming more diverse. Do you have any suggestions on recruiting people of color, especially with regards to swimming?
I think it comes down to money at a certain point. Like swim
Mhm.
lessons just aren't accessible in terms of price and pools. Like, but that's like a big task to like open up a pool, build a pool, whatever. So really going out of your way, I guess, to if a pool's not available to someone, like finding a way to get them to a pool and like incentivizing people to get involved with swimming, because too many people drown for like it to make sense. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, so just really making an effort, maybe asking people what it would take to get them in swimming. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to I don't know if you guys watched the video with Cullen. He touched on that he's more scared of pools closing
Mm.
than teaching, young kids how to swim, like his program. And I think that's a big issue. Like we can't, if pools are closing, then how can we teach these kids how to swim? How can we keep them in the sport of swimming? So I think that's one huge way or suggestion on making your team more diverse is make sure you have the funds to keep your pool open so that people can come and swim and learn how to grow in the sport of swimming so that we can be more diverse.
And go ahead.
Okay. I think also in terms of recruiting people of color, you have to be where the people of color are. You can't, I'm not gonna say you can't, but if you're looking for a specific group of people, you have to go in those communities and like handpick, like, hello, like knock on people's doors, like on Wednesday, like, hello, we're a triathlon club. We're looking to diversify our program. Would you like to be a part of it? Again, with social media, I don't know if you have like a social media, like Instagram, Facebook, something. I mean, as many people on social media, you will find somebody, a person of color, Black, Asian, I don't know what else, but you can find somebody. Like if you really are looking, you will find people.
And I really love that. Yeah, no, I really love that point Miguel made right there, because I was just literally, when we both were about to go in there, I was literally just going to say the same exact thing. Like you have to put in the initiative and you actually have to go out and look for it, like Miguel's saying, you can't just go to follow the same track you've been following for years, recruiting this from the same towns, the same schools. You got to go out and not be afraid to go out and tell these kids, hey, we want Black swimmers, we want Hispanic swimmers, we want Hispanic triathletes, we want Asian triathletes, Indian, Native American, whatever it may be. And it's definitely, what Miguel said, you got to not be afraid to reach out and really be progressive in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
And this also goes into like what we were saying earlier about representation. And I just have a feeling that we're overlooked as a minority in this sport. Someone says they're looking for people of color for their triathlon group. There are Black swimmers out here who are looking to be at these schools, whether it be PWI, HBCU, whatever. It doesn't even have to be swimming, just any sport really, that we are just overlooked all the time. I remember when I was trying to be recruited for swimming, I was emailing coaches all the time. But I feel like, again, you could speculate that it's because I'm Black, or it could not be. But if I'm emailing you and you're giving me like one-word responses, or you like the energy that I'm putting into this email because I really want to swim for your school is not reciprocated, it's like it's clear that I'm being overlooked. My times aren't any slower than homeboy to the left of me who's white, but somehow he got his email back real quick, and it was you sent him all the tools he needed to get to the school. But you saw Miguel Davis Jr. First of all, you don't know if I'm Black, Hispanic, or whatever. You just know I'm not white, and I'm just easily looked over. So that was one thing. And we skipped the question on, we started talking about it, but the imposter syndrome. So we can go into that too. So I'll start it. What was the question? Can you talk a little bit about imposter syndrome? So I didn't know what imposter syndrome was. I've heard it, but I had to read the definition. I'll read it for anyone who doesn't know. Imposter syndrome can be defined as a collection of feelings of inadequacy that persist despite evident success. Imposters suffer from chronic self-doubt and a sense of intellectual fraudulence that override any feelings of success or external proof of their competence. Now, personally, I've never had an issue dealing with imposter syndrome. I've always been, I worked for it, therefore it came into fruition. I did that work. I swam that under a minute. That was my 100 breaststroke, my 50 free, 100 free. People say all types of things. And again, it could be because I started off, or I was really on predominantly Black swim teams. However, my high school team was predominantly white. And I did run into a couple instances where you're like, hold on, how homeboy get MVP when he ain't throw no points up on that board? I'm pretty sure I was giving you relays, records, I was giving you individual records, and my points was like at least twice as yours. How did you get this MVP? You know, stuff like that. Or just little like parents is a big issue. Making slick comments like he said earlier about the steroid thing. How is Miguel so, but I work out, I train, that's what I do, that's what we're here for. I'm an athlete. If your child's not training, that's on them, not you. That's not even on the parent, that's on them. I'm putting in the work because I want to be great. I want to be the best I can be. If you're looking at me, worried about what I'm doing in this sport, and you're trying to bringing me down is not going to make your child faster. You can't, first of all, you can't bring me down because I'm self-motivated, but like imposter syndrome, I've never had an issue with that because I know the work I put in, and I try to stress that importance. Like, listen, if you are putting in this work, no one can say anything to you that is going to make you slower. People can't make you slower. You're the only one that can make you fast or slow. It's a lot of it is in your mind. So.
I just want to touch base on what Miguel said about, why this person get MVP over me. And I've literally experienced that myself twice in high school. It was the years I won state champion. I was a big part of winning that state championship. And my senior year, MVP, I was the one, I think I scored the most points at the state meet, and I was the highest score, like highest ranked that you got in a race on the team for that state meet. Yet a white girl that was a sophomore won MVP, and she was new to our team where I was already there, and she won MVP over me after I contributed all my hard work times to winning the state championship, and this girl won it over me. And a bunch of parents came up to me and said how disappointed that I didn't win it because they thought I deserved it more. And then this one parent actually started crying to me, and then I started crying because I was actually really disappointed because I was like, okay, this is gonna be my year. Because I never got any recognition from that coach about my accomplishments or contributions to the team. So I was like, okay, this is my year. He's like, I can win MVP, but he gave it to someone else who was brand new to the team, and she had 2 more years left. So I was really hurt by it. And it was hard for me to look at the team the same way again out of that experience, because I was wondering, like, okay, why would he overlook me? Is it because I'm Black? Is it because I wasn't good enough? So it's like questioning yourself. I think that's a lot of things coaches don't realize sometimes when you overlook someone from a minority, that they start to question themselves and wonder if they're good enough. So I think that's something coaches can be better in recruiting or with their swimmers in general, is just don't overlook them. You don't know what is going on behind the curtain. So yeah, that's my little input on that.
Wait, that's crazy. I have such a similar story. My senior year, because it's like based on how you perform at state, basically. It's like high school swimming MVP, and there's like this whole award show, and I like really thought I was gonna get it. I was like, am I just arrogant? But this like
I don't want to be arrogant, but like
but this white, she was like a sophomore. got it instead. And with swimming, it's pretty straightforward on like
Yeah,
points wise.
Straightforward on who you think of.
Right. And like people's parents were like, oh wow, that was a shock. Or like, and her coach, my dad just private messaged me and said her coach said I deserved it. And I was like, but I just really had to think. I was like, am I crazy here? Or what's going on? But I would say I do definitely feel imposter syndrome. Maybe that's because I'm a Black woman. I don't know. But like also I'm a meet swimmer. So like at practice, I will admit I'm like dead last most of the time. So I just feel like sometimes, right? Like am I meant to be here? Like, am I good enough to be on this team? But that might be personal.
Because then your coach will be like, Courtney, you're not performing enough in training. Like, you're not working hard enough. I'm like, I am. It's just like I'm a meet swimmer. Like, you know, like sometimes I'll come out in the meet, but like in practice, like it's just like I'm training as hard as I can physically, but it might not look like that. But I'm actually trying as hard as I can.
I relate.
Maybe it's like a Black girl thing.
Yeah, we'll claim that. See if anyone else identifies.
And I think what was another question I saw in the chat?
Well,
what would your message be to a young? Do we answer that?
No.
Oh yeah, so a young person of color swimmer.
My message.
You can go.
Real quick, because I think I keep tying these back into the pre-written questions we had. So I kind of look at this as like, how's your experience being a predominantly white sport? And then what was my biggest lesson? And I guess I want to share this lesson with like, I guess that would be my message to a person of color swimmer. And essentially that's just, you know, don't let anyone tell you what you cannot do. Like, and I've had that. And I know like, I'm probably not the only person talking right now in this chat that's faced those experiences of people telling you like, oh, that's not possible, that ain't within your range or your realm of success. But it is. Anything you set your mind to, any, you know, despite any adversity you may face, especially, you know, as a Black person, as a swimmer, like one comment I can tie to it, like that I've heard more than one occasion is, so I'm mixed, and my mom's white, my dad's Black, and something people would say to me that I had to tell them like, yo, like you can't say that to me. But if I had a good race or did well, oh, that was the white side of you, or something like that. And I was like, what? Like, excuse, no, that was all of me. And I did that. Not just the white side, the Black side, the white side, all of me. I did that. And essentially like that type of adversity and just like not letting people kind of mold you into this figure or tell you what you can and cannot do is like the biggest thing I would tell a person of color swimmer, because it's as cliche as it sounds. You can literally, you know, do anything you set your mind to.
And this is a swimming question, but this is like a life lesson. You can't worry about what anyone else is doing besides you. And I've experienced this type of like, I don't know, not against me, but I don't know. In my case, like I said, I grew up predominantly Black spaces, schools, whatever. So the question was always, oh, are you an athlete? Yeah, I'm an athlete. Oh, what do you know, of course, it's basketball, football. I'm like, no, I'm a swimmer. Like, why would you want to swim? I don't have to explain to you why I want to swim. So, and, you know, a message to a young person of color swimmer, you ain't got to look at the people that look like you, what they are doing. As long as you're doing what you want to do, it doesn't matter. This isn't exclusively like white people bringing you down. This could be anybody bringing you down. You can't let people, whether they look like you or not, determine what you should be doing. If you Asian and you want to swim, then you should swim. If you Asian and you want to play basketball, you should play basketball. You should do what you want to do. And again, and I also think being a Black swimmer, you kind of have to have thicker skin. You know, we keep saying we have a lot of these instances where we don't know if it's racism, microaggressions, whatever. We kind of just take it and roll with it, and then we reevaluate it later. I mean, that's the story of our lives. You know, we kind of have to ignore things first for our safety, and then when we in a safe space, we could like, let me think about that real quick. But to be a swimmer, a person of color, to be young, you definitely have to have thick skin, and that's big on like. That kind of is, I wouldn't say the parents' duty, but parents definitely play a big role in that. Like my parents prepared me to have thick skin. Like you're not going to talk, like if I'm my parent, you're not going to talk to my child any type of way. I'm going to make sure that he's prepared to take any type of criticism, microaggressions, whatever, so that he will beat your child. I'm the type, that was always my like tackle and fuel, if you've seen that movie. Like if I ever felt someone was making a slick comment or something, or, you know, I was catching side eyes, that would actually kind of make me swim fast. I swim faster when I'm angry. So it was like, it was good for me, I guess. It's not good in essence, of course, but for me, it was also rewarding to beat people I felt like were like saying any old type of thing behind my back. So like I said, you have to have thick skin and you can't be worried about what other people are doing, whether they look like you or not. So
Yeah. Just like I wanted to talk about or touch base on like the diversity camps that USA Swimming holds. Because I think that's actually a big part of the initiative that USA Swimming makes to make the sport more diverse. Because I think me, Miguel, and Kiara went to the, was it National Diversity Select Camp?
Mhm.
And if guys that do not know, that's a select camp where USA Swimming holds, and they send your kids out to the Olympic Training Center in Colorado, and for it's like a weekend or a week, I think, and you get to train at the Olympic Training Center, and that was one of the best experiences of my life. Like that was, I felt like I was almost an Olympian, if I'm just gonna say it. And I think it was a great experience to see other people around the country that are diverse, like are part of a minority, and that are also a successful minority swimmer in the sport. And plus, you got to see like other Olympians walking around training, and that was pretty cool. So I think that for a young Black swimmer or minority swimmer, whoever, that if you're young, then I would definitely try to get into that camp because it's one of the best experience I think a minority swimmer can have in the sport. And it really like prepares you, like if you really want to make that track to become a national team member or Olympian, whatever, like that program really helps you like get you on the track to that, you know? I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys want to talk about your experiences going to that
No,
camp.
no, I agree. That weekend was like a really impactful for me, and I knew it as soon as I got back home. Like I think at that point, I must have been like 13 or 14, and I was really like honestly considering quitting swimming, and I was not that happy, and I think I was like kind of stalemating in terms of like dropping time, and I just, yeah, it was becoming a lot. But that weekend was really validating in terms of me feeling like I belonged as a swimmer, because I feel like when you're pretty good at a really young age, and then like that hype kind of like dies down, you're like, okay, why am I still doing this? But
Like it's like someone recognizes you for your accomplishments because
it just felt bigger.
selected for it, you know?
Yeah, like it wasn't just about the sport. It was like the fact that I'm doing this is like
Yeah,
more,
like
it's
someone
bigger than
notices
me.
you.
Yeah.
Someone notices how good you are in this sport, and they're willing to help you get even further. That's that's what that camp I think does for a young swimmer. So
Yeah.
I really emphasize trying to get your young child into it. So plus it's pretty cool to see the other Olympians there, and
Mhm.
then plus you get to like experience what it is to actually be an Olympian kind of in a way and go train there. But it is hard. I'm not gonna lie. The training was hard because one, it's long course, and two, you're up in the mountains in Colorado, so like the air is really thin. So it's just really hard to breathe up there. But besides that, it's a really, really fun camp. So yeah.
Okay. We're kind of getting near the end.
I don't know if we want to open it up to people who just want to like say something or ask a question. So you can like, I don't know if you want to unmute or type it in the chat.
We have another question I feel like is good. Um I think it's, do you regret like going to a PWI versus an HBCU?
That's That's a good question.
I wouldn't say, okay,
I don't want to
I go
say
to
that.
HBCU. I don't think I regret going to HBCU. I think about going to PWI sometimes, just like
Yeah.
what's happening over there. But
You're like, what's the other side like?
yeah, like what's the other side like? But
I feel that.
I mean, I'm having a
Yeah.
greire time.
Personally,
But
do you mind if
I
I say
just think
something?
about what's going on.
Who is talking? Is that Poseidon? Is
Oh.
that it?
I just muted them. I thought it was an accident,
Oh,
but I'll unmute them.
Yeah, sorry, I
wanna-
wasn't trying to interrupt or anything.
no, you're good.
When I was signing up for college, I applied to UNCW, NC State, and UNC Charlotte. Got waitlisted by Charlotte and NC State. Coleman Jones went to NC State. I thought that would be a good fit. I always wanted to study engineering. Eventually, I ended up deciding to go to UNCW because their coach reached out to me last minute, told me, yeah, I think you'd be a good fit for the team. Gave me a scholarship and everything, but I didn't really know much about the world at all. I got an offer from Tulane, but they had just got hit by Hurricane Katrina. So I felt like it would be unsafe to go there, just in general,
Yeah.
especially it being a below sea level, area. And if it gets hit by a hurricane like that, it'll flood. Yeah, I know how to swim, but I wouldn't be able. It would be terrible to be there and see a tragedy happen and not be able to help people.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's really a difference in predominantly white or HBCU other than how the information is presented to you, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I feel like predominantly white institutions are going to preach, or they're going to try to show privilege, but HBCUs are going to give you true knowledge and how to be self-sufficient and independent.
Yeah. Just from an HBCU experience perspective, I don't necessarily say I regret it because I think that's where I kind of broke out of my shell and like kind of more under I'm gonna say woke. But I don't regret it because I think it's one of the best experiences of my life, and it's nice to be in a different environment where everyone looks more like me and not in a predominantly white experience because that's how I had growing up. So I think it's about getting the best of both worlds necessarily. Just experiencing being in an all Black environment and a predominantly white environment. So
Spence?
Yeah, no. So I mean, I wouldn't say I have any regret. I'm very, very happy with where I'm at. But at the same time, I kind of like just have this like in the back of my head, like, what am I missing out on? Like who could I be meeting and talking to at this HBCU? And in terms of Fordham, because I didn't apply to any HBCUs, but in terms of Fordham, it's like I said earlier, kind of when we were talking about seeing, having mostly white coaches and lifeguards on pool deck. When I step onto a Fordham campus, it's mostly, it's predominantly white campus. And of course we have our fair share of diversity, but it's kind of hard walking around. And I'm like, I want to see my brothers and sisters, like where they at? Like I'm trying to get that kind of communal feel. And I feel like I can't, I definitely can. It's definitely out there, but it's harder here. I feel like maybe definitely compared to an HBCU to connect and build that network of Black people here on campus.
yeah. I don't know, Kiara, you wanna?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think we're all meant to be where we are, like at any given moment. I feel like, and we can only speak from our time at this PWI, but like right now, I feel like is different than any other usual college year. Like we were going through a pandemic, and the racial reckoning that this country has recently undergone. So like a lot of people's, maybe usually personal beliefs are kind of out in the open for everyone to see. So yeah, I'm just grateful to be where I am. I've definitely considered like HBC, like transferring, but like no, like at the end of the day, like I'm really glad that I got to be here and like swim here, be in New York City. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one thing when for anyone who's in the recruiting process right now, is that focus on what you want and what you need at a college. Don't, battle between PWI and HBCU. But like just figure out where you want to be and where you feel more comfortable. Because I think that's why everyone just decides on, where they want to go. And I know when I went through the recruiting process, a lot of people are telling me like, you'll know once you step foot on campus that that's where you need to be. Like you just know. And I didn't understand it until actually I got to Howard and I was like, I think this is it. Like I feel good here, like I feel comfortable. I feel like this is where I want to spend the next 4 years.
Another thing for me, sorry, who was going? Miguel?
I'll say something real quick. I'm not even gonna lie, like freshman year, I was hype about going to Howard. I was like, I'm about to be the HBCU man, like, cause in my senior year of high school, everyone knew I was going to Howard. It was all like, oh my God, I'm going to Howard, swimming, whatever. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to HBCU. I'm gonna be the strong Black man. I'm gonna be, whatever. And I was like, why would anyone want to go to PWI? Like, we're Black in America. I was heavy on like X mode for some reason. But as the years have gone by, I'm like, Miguel, first of all, everyone's not you. I'm not even like that anymore. But it's just like, this was the decision for me, like why I wanted to go here. I can't put that on anybody else. And there's nothing wrong with other schools. This was just where I wanted to go, And I think that people make things about themselves. I was making it about me, my decision by everyone else. Like you can't worry about, like I said earlier, you can't worry about where other people want you to go, where they think you should go. It's wherever you want to go. And for me, Howard was the place. It's the HBCU. But like I said, it was wrong for me to even think, why would someone else want to go to PWI? Because they want to go to that school, Miguel. That's why they went there. It was the right fit. They have the program, the campus, whatever, So we got another question in the chat.
Yeah, I have some too. But I just want to say one more thing. So like also what's like kept me motivated, I think, and like made me feel like this is the right place for me is something my dad told me when I was still deciding on a college, and it's like you should leave a place better than you found it. And I think really go somewhere where you think you can do some good and like
what you're doing right now. It's sorry to interrupt, but keep
no, it's okay. That's literally all. That's all I want to say. So it's past 5, so I don't know if I should like stop the recording and so we can just like let people ask their questions and we can keep it going, or like I'm not sure.
Just stop the recording.
All right, I'll stop the recording.
Continue. If anyone else has questions or about recruiting,
maybe I'll keep it.
Well, we can wrap it up for the most part, and anyone that has any questions can ask them. But we got a question for anyone from KCM. For anyone of you who have had the PWI experience, have you ever been in a situation of predominantly white people where someone says something about Black people and then acknowledges you and says you don't count?
I don't understand the ending of that question about the
I think it's like
acknowledges
they say
you
something negative about a Black person and like they're like, oh wait, you don't count because we know you.
Oh, okay.
Not
No,
like
I get it. Yeah. Not off the top of my head, I remember when the Black at Fordham page came out. I read just some jaw-dropping accounts of being a single Black person in a classroom of all white, maybe some Asian and other diverse students in there, but you're the only Black kid in this classroom, and they're talking about something about civil rights, or they're bringing up terms like they're going to use the N-word in a book or something, and then they'll like use it and like knowing that they like teachers just kind of using their power to make a Black student maybe uncomfortable or stuff like that. But personally, no, I haven't been in the situation myself.
Okay, so next question. What are good questions to ask coaches during recruiting process? I had a whole list of questions
Drop it in the
that
chat.
I had like right next to me when I would like go on phone calls. And I think some were like, what's your training like? How is the atmosphere? Or I don't even remember.
I would for asking coaches like what you should ask coaches during recruiting process should be like what are you looking for in me?
Yeah.
But it shouldn't just be you should be like kind of telling them like what you're looking for also, and then asking them what they're looking for from you. Like, are they even looking for a breaststroker, or are you just spinning with like you just about to send an email for no reason? Definitely like, what are you looking for in a swimmer? What type of swimmer are you looking for? What is the training like Courtney said? What is the campus life like? What is the team dynamic? If people of color, what is how many Black people you got? Not Black, but like what is the diversity on the team? You should ask the coach anything that is important to you about school. So any question that you have about the school, you should ask the coach first. If you know
like
anything.
Team GPA.
Yeah, like team GPA. What are some of the majors on the team? Because that's important too. You kind of want people that have the same major on your team.
Yeah.
Just to get acquainted.
I'm the only supply chain manager on my team, but the last one just graduated. So, but like, yeah, I think a big part of it is making sure someone has the same major as you on your team. Because when you do like the whole choosing classes and stuff, it's good to have someone who can help you with that.
Yeah,
but also I wanted to go because I think it's Poseidon. He said, ask what events you're being recruited for and how much freedom you have over your goals. That's actually a good answer. Especially about how much freedom you have over your goals. Because sometimes coaches want you to do a specific stroke or event and they want you to train for that. But that might not necessarily be what you want and how you train. So it's like knowing like what they want out of you and what you want out of the program. Got a lot of questions.
The next question.
Did you ever feel as if a coach treated you differently because of your race? Yes.
Not my coach. Not my coach, other coaches.
I'd say no, but like at the same time, sometimes you want like your unique concerns to be addressed in a way, and it's hard to speak up for yourself if you're like the only person. So, but no, not in like a negative sense.
This is a good question.
Okay.
What can you do as a white person when you see racial discrimination / microaggressions within your sport? Is it still your place to say something? How should you go about it? This is a great question. First, thanks for asking that question because this is good. But I would say yes to no. So if you see a Black girl being harassed by a white person, I wouldn't say you go right in and be like, you don't need to this is a Black woman are oppressing the American. I would not go that route. I think you should, personally, I would kind of, I don't know, step in, but be more on the side of the Black girl. Like make sure the Black girl even wants you to say something in her behalf. I think that's a big problem within like allyship and stuff. Some people feel the need to take the mic from the people who are being oppressed or having the microaggressions put upon by white people or whatever. So I would say tread lightly, like make sure that person even wants you to speak up for them. And if you don't know them like personally, like just try to diffuse the situation by not making it like about you or by you, don't insert yourself so much to where they're not talking, or they feel uncomfortable. Because imagine a Black girl is being harassed by a white person. They're already uncomfortable. Now another person comes in and is attacking that white person. And now I'm just sitting here looking like, I don't know what to do. Like, am I in danger? So I would definitely not go complete overboard in trying to handle situations like that. And again, make sure they're comfortable first before you try to make yourself comfortable for something that's not happening to you.
I just think the number one thing is to make sure that person like needs you to stick up for them, you know? Because sometimes they can stick up for themselves. So just make sure that person wants you to stick up for them, and then make sure that you're, like Miguel said, you're not taking over making it about yourself. Like just basically having I don't know, having their back, I guess.
I'm gonna be honest. I want you to go all out and do it for me. I'm by myself being racially discriminated against. Please use your whiteness and do
Yeah, if
something
you
about
got
it.
something to say, then say. Next question. If someone's high school doesn't have a swim team, how will they get recruited? How can you get them exposure?
Okay, Poseidon just answered that, I think, a little.
Who?
Poseidon, he said, if your kid is interested in getting into the sport of swimming, register with USA Swimming. Make a Splash Foundation will likely help with any fees. So that would be a good place to start.
Oh, I was just wondering, like, is it like, are they on club swimming or like Y swimming and just not on high school swimming? Is that what they mean?
The original message said that their kids swim for some team in the area. I didn't specify what type of team.
Okay. Then yeah, just registering for USA Swimming, because that's where you get recruited from.
And you
That's
can
where,
reach
like,
out.
go see your profile and like your times and like what strokes you swim.
Yeah, I think they look at that more than they look at your high school swimming times anyways. So
Yeah, high school's pretty,
Yeah.
it's not that important. As long as they're on the club team and they have times and stuff that are good, you shouldn't have a problem. But also, I would say, like, take videos and upload them. You know, get your child out there. I know there's this thing like NCSA, I think it's called. Yeah, NCSA is like a recruiting hub, you know, where everyone puts their videos and times and stuff. You can do stuff like that. It costs money though, but again, social media, you know, social media runs everything. So again, how do you get exposure? By exposing yourself. Take videos and post it somewhere, and emailing coaches.
Emailing is a big thing. Like, I think my mom, when I was in the recruit process, said just keep on sending emails, not like every week or so, to make sure that they see you and like hear you. Next question. How do you think others Caucasians feel while being at a predominantly Black school like Howard while attending and participating in sports as a Caucasian person? Is it the same or different?
Yeah, that's something sounds like either Courtney or Miguel are gonna have to take.
Okay, let me read it again. How do you think Caucasian while being at predominantly Black school like Howard while attending and participating in sports as a Caucasian person? Is it the same?
You were on the team with Mark, so I feel like
So my freshman year there were two white guys on the team. They were seniors when I was a freshman, and it wasn't really different to me, because like I came from a team where there was really only like 3 white people, but I think they were comfortable. I never had the feeling that they weren't uncomfortable. But like other sports, like I don't know, basketball or soccer, I don't know. I feel like Howard is
from other sports on Howard, I've noticed like if it's like a Caucasian person or any other minority than Black, that they seem relatively accepted by the others. Like it's not like, oh, like stay away from me.
Yeah,
it's like everyone is really accepting, like no one's judging you. I think that's why like the whole purpose of HBCU is like for everyone to be accepted, no matter like race, gender, you know.
I guess if you're asking, are white people accepted? Yeah, definitely. I mean, we weren't discriminated
about the question
over here.
So my question is, do you believe that's interchangeable with that?
Oh,
interchangeable.
like it's the same, like
the Black experience at a PWI.
Like for example, the Black experience versus being the white experience, because you know how swimming is a very predominantly white sport, while being an African American or a Black person or POC coming into that sport. Do you think it's interchangeable? Because I know Howard is a very predominantly Black school. And
can I answer like how I think?
Yeah,
go ahead. Of course.
So since Black people are typically are like the minority in the country as a whole. I feel like we are born kind of understanding the exclusive, like feeling excluded from things. So I feel like it's not interchangeable because it's not the same thing.
And I want to add to that too. Perfect point, Key, because I guess you could think of it like this too. I think of it as like these two Caucasian white guys that Miguel was talking about on their swim team. You know, obviously they applied there. They, you know, went through the process and chose to go there. And I think what also Key is getting at is, you know, yeah, they're the minority in that situation, and they kind of place themselves, I feel like, not in a bad way, but they kind of place themselves in that minority position. But however, being Black, you're already going to be a minority in the sport of swimming. You're going to be a minority in this nation. And so then coming on top of it and also being a minority at your own school or on your own swim team and or on the pool deck where like I said earlier, it's like my safe haven, my place, like the place I go to get my mind and my thoughts clear. You know, it's definitely not interchangeable because at the end of the day, these two, you know, white guys on the predominantly Black swim team can, you know, step off that campus in a nation that was built with them in mind, was built to, you know, to set them up, you know. Yeah. So like that's definitely why it's not interchangeable. And I love that point that you made too, Key. So yeah.
Well, I absolutely 100% agree. I was just wondering, you know, playing devil advocate as a little different. As you know, I am an African American myself, being at a very predominantly white school such as Fordham. You know, I've thought about it, and it's been back and forth in many situations. And of course, being in America is a very predominantly white country, so that's why I was just wondering if it was back and forth. Just to try to see your thoughts in that situation.
Okay.
But I like it. That's actually a good point, and I'm glad we got to address that. So thank you, Bryce.
Oh, to the iPhone person who asked, what's the diversity camp you guys were talking of? It's called the National Diversity Select Camp in Colorado.
Yeah, you have to apply too.
Yeah.
I would definitely say, I think it says it like long course time.
They have a
get accepted, long course times are preferred.
It's on long course times, and I think it's like 18 girls and like 18 guys or something like that. That's kind of how it's like chosen.
It's for like 12 to 14-year-olds. So
yeah, I think it's 14 and under.
Oh, that might be.
I thought it was 16.
Maybe 14 to 16. It might be 14 to 16. That makes more sense.
Okay.
I don't know actually.
Yeah,
it's perfect. There you go. Okay, well, I don't think we have any more questions, and we don't want this to go on for the whole entire day. But hopefully, this is gonna.
Not hopefully, definitely. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. This is only the beginning. Sure. More to come. More to come for sure.
Thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, thanks you guys for joining. And I hope this helped anyone with like questions or just concerns about the sport swimming and diversity in the sport swimming. So.
And you can find us all on like Instagram or however you want to.
Yes, tell your friends. We'll be posting this on Instagram on both Fordham and Howard. So tell your friends to come check it out if they have any questions or missed it.